False start. We'll try again. Good evening and welcome to this digitally enabled online meeting of the Council of the Municipality of North Perth, held on Monday, December 6th, 2021. I'm Mayor Todd Kasenberg and I'll call this meeting to order. I ask the clerk to note our starting time for the minutes as 7 p.m. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe peoples. We wish to recognize the long history of Indigenous peoples in Canada and show our respect to them today. We recognize their stewardship of the land. May we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship. Tonight's meeting is being streamed live on the Municipality of North Perth YouTube channel and will be available there after the meeting as an archived video. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded and their voice, image, and comments will form part of the live stream. The chair and/or the clerk have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances when deemed relevant. Circumstances may include instances where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory, or potentially inappropriate to be published. Thank you. Welcome to those who are joining us via the YouTube channel. Welcome to councillors, staff, experts, and delegations who will participate in this meeting. At this time, I invite your decorum over the course of the coming meeting. And I don't have noted any attendance regrets, but let me just check with Clerk Bearfelds. Councillor Seiler is absent tonight. Thank you for the update, Clerk Bearfelds. Let us move then to item 2.1 on our agenda pertaining to pecuniary interest. For the benefit of those unfamiliar with our council practices, provincial legislation requires councillors with a potential pecuniary or financial interest in any item at the council table to declare this interest and remove her or himself from discussions and voting on the item. In accordance with recommended protocol at this time, I invite all councillors with perceived pecuniary interest, including those who have already declared in writing, to verbally advise the chair in public session, and if not already done, to submit documentation to this effect in writing to the clerk. Councillors are further reminded that should a potential conflict arise during the meeting, they may so declare and act at any point in the meeting. Let us begin. I have an alphabetical list here tonight. Let's start with Councillor Anstett. Welcome, Councillor Anstett.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Kasenberg. Through you this evening, I'd like to declare a pecuniary interest on item 5.5.1, the accounts, specifically the daycare accounts, as my son attends the St. Mary's Daycare, and also on item 13.1, the confirmatory bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anstett. Next up is Councillor Behrens. Welcome, Councillor Behrens.
Good evening, Mayor Kasenberg and Council. Through you, Mayor Kasenberg, I will declare a conflict of interest on 4.1, the Reed drain, as I have family members assessed on that drain. 5.5.1, the daycare accounts, as I have grandchildren attending the North Perth Spinrite Child and Family Center, as well as after-school programming. And subsequent to that, 13.1, the confirmatory bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Behrens. Next up is Deputy Mayor Kellum. Welcome, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, good evening, Mayor Kasenberg, as well, council members. Through you, I would also like to declare pecuniary interest on item 5.5.1, specifically the accounts pertaining to Perth Metals. First off, my mother and father-in-law are tenants there, and then secondly, the daycare, specifically the St. Mary's Child Care Center, as my grandson does attend that, and then further, the confirmatory bylaw, which is 13.1. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And next up is Councillor Richardson.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Kasenberg, I would like to declare a conflict of pecuniary interest on tonight's agenda for item 11.1 in closed session, given the associations with my current employer, and also 13.1, the confirmatory bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. Are there any other declarations to be made at this time? Okay, we're not seeing any, so let's move forward to explain how our meeting unfolds in the virtual environment. Tonight, I'll be systematically trying to seek consent from various councillors as movers and seconders of the various resolutions and bylaws that will be put before us. I'll do this to some degree alphabetically. Should a councillor not wish to respond to a request from the chair, they may say so, and I'll move to the next name on the alphabetical list. Regarding speaking to our business councillors tonight will identify themselves through our conferencing technologies text chat function. The clerk is assisting me tonight in maintaining a speaking order from that source. Councillors are allowed on their turn to deliver a primary question or comment and may make one supplemental without intervention from me. We will follow speaking order carefully, and any councillor wishing to have a second say will have to indicate again and go to the bottom of the list. This is a normal process consistent with Robert's Rules of Order. Councillors are reminded that if I believe you are not audible, I will call on you. I'll let you know that you can't be heard. Councillors are further asked to maintain a mute state in the web conference until I have called upon you for a verbal reaction. Should any of your votes not show up in eScribe, I will call on you when things seem stalled to register a manual vote. At that time, take yourself off mute, answer yes or no on the motion, and then return to mute state. Regarding item 2.2 of our agenda, I have a motion before me for the adoption of the agenda for tonight's meeting that reads as follows: that the agenda for tonight's meeting be approved. Why don't we start with Councillor Rothwell tonight? Will you serve as our mover for this, Councillor Rothwell?
I will so move, yes.
Thank you. And Councillor Andreessen, welcome. How about you as a seconder?
Yes, good evening, Mayor Kasenberg. Yes, I'll second that.
Thank you very much. Any discussion or debate on this item? Seeing none, let's have that vote. There we go.
I am in favor. My eScribe did not come up. I will relog. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Kellum. So with that, that is carried. That moves us along to item 3 on our agenda, the so-called consent agenda. These items are placed on our agenda because they're believed to be non-contentious, yet they require either council's recognition or action. Grouping them expedites our business. However, any councillor wishing to extract an item from the consent agenda for discussion, debate, or individualized action may do so. There are 14, I think that might be a record in my mayorship, 14 items on our consent agenda tonight, including the minutes of our last regular council meeting. Councillors, do any of you have a desire to extract any of these items for further discussion or action? If so, please indicate in the chat function and we'll call on you in the appropriate order. Let's start with Councillor Andreessen.
Yes, good evening again. Through you, Mayor Kasenberg, I'm interested in item 3.14, the provincial statement, building broadband faster in Ontario guidelines. In our agenda package, this was quite a substantial, pile of information, so to speak. And I'm just wondering if perhaps CAO Snell, at this time or another time, doesn't matter, could perhaps give more of a summary of what the implications are of this for municipalities, as it's a pretty hefty document. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Andreessen. I'll loop back to that in a moment, I think. Are there any others wishing an extraction, Clerk Fairfield, that you're seeing? So we're not seeing any other indication. Let's pick up then item 3.14. Based on what I heard you say, and I'm extrapolating a little bit, it sounds to me like you would like staff response to this item in terms of summarizing and perhaps laying out any advantages or disadvantages of the approach that the province has provided. Have I got that roughly right?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. It would be, yes, more of an ability to summarize that a bit more, and yes, advantages, disadvantages would be helpful. What the implications would be for a municipality. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to make a suggestion to you, Councillor Andreessen, that perhaps we push this down to the staff reports section of our agenda, and you can put before council a request to staff to see that council is willing to endorse that. Is that okay? I know that there's some work going on at Perth County, I believe, as well. I'm pretty sure. Yes, this document has certainly stirred up some interest. You okay if we move this down to a later item?
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
So we won't extract that. We'll just allow for a natural process to happen. Any others extractions or wishing to comment on anything else in the consent agenda? Okay, we're not seeing anything, so I do have a resolution here that consent items 3.1 to 3.14 be received for information. And the minutes of the November 15th, 2021 regular council meeting and the November 22nd, 2021 special council meeting be adopted. Councillor Anstett, can I call on you to serve as our mover for that one?
Yes, I would move that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Barons, will you be our seconder?
Yes, I will second that motion. Thank you.
Thanks. Any discussion or debate on this one? We're not seeing any, so let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you very much. Let's move on then to item number 4 on our agenda. This evening, we do have a matter to conduct a public meeting on related to drainage works. And so I have a motion to facilitate that. We'll move into public meeting mode and adjourn council temporarily. The motion reads as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth adjourns at 7:12 p.m. for the purpose of public meetings under the Drainage Act concerning the Reed Municipal Drain. And I call on Councillor Duncan to be our mover for that. And welcome, Councillor Duncan.
Yes, I'll move that.
Thank you very much. And Deputy Mayor Kellum, will you serve as our seconder for this one?
Yes, I'll second that motion.
Thank you very much. Any discussion or debate on this motion, which will have the effect of adjourning the meeting temporarily? Okay, let's have that. And we're missing Councillor Rothwell at this point. What say you, Councillor Rothwell?
I'm in favor.
Thank you. And with
Yeah.
that, that's carried. And so we are temporarily adjourned for the purposes of holding the public meeting. Let me just grab my notes for that. So at this time, we are conducting a consideration of the report for the Reed Municipal Drain in a public meeting. It is our opportunity to consider this report and ask questions of the engineer and allow assessed landowners to do the same. Welcome to any assessed landowners who have agreed to participate this evening and who have joined us in our council meeting. To begin, we will receive the report from Brandon Widener with Street Associates Limited, who will present the report. Welcome, Mr. Widener.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight we have the Reed drain, which is very close to the last couple of drains that we've submitted. It's just east of Kurtzville. This one is a little further down the road, near the intersection of Road 167 and Line 88. It is directly east of the Bartman drain, which we did, I would say, a month ago. We had a meeting out on site on September 29th, 2021. The owners, mainly due to the construction of the Bartman drain, had also had concerns of this drain. The main owner, Luke Weidman, who's at the top end of this drain, he was experiencing some flooding, and he requests that the drain be improved to the modern day standard. The Reed drain was originally submitted by John Kunze in 1982. So this is an existing drain from 1982. It consisted of anywhere from 12-inch to 21-inch tile at that time. The outlet for this drain essentially is the Maitland River, which is on the south side of Line 88. So we had a meeting in late September. Most of the owners were there. The consensus was, yes, the drain could use some improvement, but as a whole, it was working satisfactory. This drain is only 40 years old, and in the 80s, the construction standards are a lot higher than the 70s. So we deem the drain to be in satisfactory shape. So the proposal here tonight is to twin the existing drain to bring it up to 1.5 inch design standard. Now, this area is unique in that the land is quite rolly, but the drain itself is rather flat, as you can see on the profile. So we had another meeting on October 27th to discuss the proposal, and that's the twin proposal we have shown. And as you'll see tonight, we have a proposal for a 24-inch tile south of line 88, and then a 21 to 16-inch tile working its way up north of line 88. This will be immediately adjacent to the existing drain. The total cost of the works is $184,000. One thing you can note in here, there is a large assessment to Perth County for their road, as well as there's an existing surface culvert underneath that road. Now, for those of you who are very familiar with the area, this drain is approximately 7 meters lower than the center line of road at that point. There's an existing CSP surface culvert under that road, which is deteriorated. Part of this work will be slip lining it for the county. The county will pay that cost, which is in the neighborhood of $30,000. The rest of the owners, the assessments are divided up accordingly. But as a whole, we have just over 1 kilometer of tile being installed under this report, as well as 1 road crossing. Now, as mentioned with the Bartman drain and the Burkbelt drain, from what I understand, none of those drains have been tendered yet, so they will be tendered all at once as 3. They are all right beside each other. But I haven't heard from any owners since the report was issued, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Widener. Let's turn to the clerk first. Are there any assist landowners that we're aware of on tonight's meeting call who wish to address council in this public meeting?
No.
Okay, so we're not aware of any indication from the public who wish to participate in this meeting. Let's turn then to council. Council, do you have any questions about this drain or about the report that has been verbally presented by Mr. Widener? Are we seeing anything, clerk, folks? Okay, we're not seeing anything. So at this time then, assuming and because no one has attended, there's no withdrawal or significant concern raised at the meeting, I believe we can move to adjourn. So I have a motion for that purpose to adjourn from the public meeting at 7:18 p.m. Can I call on Councillor Johnston to be the mover for this one? Welcome, Councillor Johnston.
Yes, I would certainly move that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And Councillor Richardson, will you be our seconder?
I will second that. Thank you.
Thanks. Any discussion or debate about this one? Seeing none, do we have a vote in East Craig for this one? Yes, thank you. Please vote now. And Councillor Rothwell, what say you?
I'm in favor. My vote didn't come up. I'm in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And with that vote, that is carried. That means we can resume regular council meeting. And be able to make that take effect. We do have therefore some business to do with regards to item 4.1, noting the intended abstention from this business of Councillor Barrett's. At this point, then I have 3 resolutions for consideration, the third being bylaw. First resolution reads as follows: that the council of the municipality of North Perth will accept the Reed Drain Report dated November 3rd, 2021, prepared by Spreet Associates Engineers and Architects. Can I call on Councillor Rothwell to be our mover for that?
I so move. Yes.
Thank you. And Councillor Andreessen, will you serve as our seconder?
Yes, I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate on this one? Seeing none, let's have that vote.
Mayor Todd, I'm in favor. My vote didn't come up. Councillor Rothwell.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Rothwell. And we're missing Councillor Barron. So with that, that's carried. Thank you. Next up then is the Court of Revision matter that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth will hold the Court of Revision for the Reed Drain 2021 on January 10th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Councillor Anstead, will you serve as our mover for that one?
Yes, I would move that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Duncan, will you be our seconder?
Yes, I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate on this one? We're not seeing it, so let's have that vote.
Councillor Rothwell in favor.
Thank you. And with that, that is carried. And now we have the bylaw. So I'll read into the record that bylaw 131-2021 being a bylaw to provide for a drainage works Reed Drain be introduced, read and considered read a first and second time and be provisionally adopted, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Deputy Mayor Kellum, will you serve as our mover for that one?
Yes, I will make that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Johnston, will you be our seconder on that?
Yes, I would second that.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you very much. That allows us to move down the road to item 5, reports from departments and key staff.
One quick question, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Widener. Yes, please.
No problem. This drain is right beside the other two. I ask, can council approve tendering it prior to the quarter revision? Because the other two, it would be like economical to tender them all three at once. You have a lot of work here. I don't know if you want to put the other drains into a 2022 bid.
I don't know the answer to that. CAO Snell, did you wish to render an opinion on behalf of the staff?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. And certainly could ask for input from the clerk, but I don't see the harm in putting the tender up before the quarter revision. Obviously, we'd have to wait for the quarter revision to award the tender, but I don't see any harm in tendering it at the same time. I don't know if Pat has anything.
The clerk agrees with that statement. Do we need a resolution to that effect, Pat, at this point, or? I think we should. Okay. So we need a resolution here that the municipality of North Perth proceed to issue tender packages for, what are the three drains, Pat? This one, the Reed Drain, Bartman, and Bearfelds. You should know that one well. Okay. For the Reed, Bartman, and Bearfelds drains, I think it just needs to be that simple, right? It needs to be that simple that the municipality of North Perth proceed to issue tender packages for Reed, Bartman, and Bearfelds municipal drains. Okay, well, let me go back to my list and find out who's up next. Councillor Richardson, will you serve as our mover for that?
I will move that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Rothwell, will you do the seconding duties here?
Yes, I'll second the motion.
Thank you. So this is going to enable the release of tender package for a consolidated bid for these three drains. Any questions, comments? Else, are we seeing anything? Okay. If you're ready, we're ready to have that vote. And that is carried as well. All right. Thank you for drawing that to our attention, Mr. Widener. The economy that could be gained from that is appreciated in your oversight of this. So appreciate, thank you for joining us tonight too. Let's move on then. We're going to turn to CAO Snell for item 5.1. CAO Chris Snell has submitted a report on the advice of the Police Services Board related to motor vehicle counts and traffic at the intersection of Perth Road 178 and line 88, commonly called main corners. I'll call on Mr. Snell to present the report, which does call for action by other governments and answer any questions about this. Welcome, CAO Snell.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, good evening, Mayor and Council. At the request of the Police Services Board, Sergeant Manny Coelho presented a report on motor vehicle collisions for Perth Road 178 and Line 88, as the Mayor referred to, commonly known as main corners. As we can see, and most of Council is aware, this corner has been an issue for some time, with a number of serious accidents occurring at the corner. 2021 has been, again, a particularly bad year for the corner. And so the Police Services Board did ask for a report and then passed a motion to look at some safety improvements that could be made at the intersection. Of course, the intersection is a county intersection shared by both the County of Perth and the County of Huron. And really the recommendation is that we ask the County of Perth to discuss and consult with the County of Huron and look at implementing some safety standards at the corner to decrease the collisions and make the corner a safer corner for all the residents and vehicular traffic using that intersection. Both Councillor Behrens and Councillor Johnson sit on the Police Services Board, and they may have further comments. Thank you.
Thanks, CAO Snell, for the overview of that report. Any comments, questions at this point from Council? Clerk Bertholz, are we seeing anything? Okay, so we're not. Let's have the resolution then. The Council of the Municipality of North Perth received the report titled MVC Analysis for the intersection of Perth Road 178 and Perth Road 88, North Perth 2010 to 2021 year-to-date for information. And that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth recommends forwarding the report titled MVC Analysis for the intersection of Perth Road 178 and Perth Line 88, North Perth 2010 to 2021 YTD to Perth County Council for discussion and consultation with the County of Huron regarding implementation of a strategy with the intent of increasing safety and decreasing motor vehicle collisions at the intersection of Perth Road 178 and Perth Road 88. Councillor Behrens, I know this issue is important to you. Thank you for your advocacy on it. Would you serve as mover?
Yes, I would move that motion. Thank you.
Thanks. And Councillor Andreessen, will you serve as a seconder?
Thank you. I'm very honored to second that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any discussion, debate, or further questions? We're not seeing any, so let's have that vote.
I'm in favor. It's Councillor Andreessen. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Andreessen. And so with that, we will call that matter carried, and the County of Perth gets to hear from us. All right. Let's move on then to item 5.2, reports from the Clerk's Department. As item 5.2.1, Council is invited to approve a schedule of its meetings for the calendar year 2022. Are there any questions before we vote? All right, then I have a resolution for our consideration that reads as follows. That the Council of the Municipality of North Perth agree to the January to December 2022 meeting schedule, and further that the meeting schedule will be posted on the municipal website and additional notice will be provided in accordance with the North Perth notice bylaw. Councillor Anstett, can I call you to be a mover?
Yes, I would move that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Behrens, will you serve as a seconder for that one?
Yes, I will second that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate on this one, or any questions? We're not seeing any, so let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you very much. Let's move on to item 5.2.2, Council is asked to receive a report on an application for consent to sever related to lands in the Elma Ward as brought forward by owners John and Mary Steckley. Council is further asked to make a recommendation on this application to Perth County Council. I'll call on County of Perth planner Sean Yilmaz, who works on files related to North Perth, to explain the request on this matter. Mr. Yilmaz, welcome.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor Kasenberg, members of North Perth Council. So we have one application for consent, which is requesting a lot addition and would effectively remove an area of land from the subject property that is owned by John and Mary Steckley and add it to the abutting property to the east, which is owned by Amy and Wayne Ketfer. The subject property, or the Steckley property, is located at 5079 Perth Line 72 and consists of approximately 60.4 hectares or 149 acres of active agricultural land. The proposed lot addition would remove a 20.2 hectare or 50 acre piece of land from the rear of the property and add it with the abutting farmland to the east, which is located at 6940 Road 140, and as I noted earlier, owned by the Ketfers. Once the proposed severed land is added with the Ketfer property, access will become available to this portion of land from the Ketfer farm. Now, I should note that Amy and Wayne Ketfer also own the farm property located to the west of the Steckley farm. And this severed land would ultimately serve as a connecting piece between the two large farm properties, providing an efficient use of the lands. This lot addition, however, only adds the severed lands to the Ketfer property to the east and does not join both Ketfer properties. Based on the nature of the severance, the application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, conforms with applicable policies of the County of Perth official plan. The provincial policy statement permits lot additions of farmland. Section 2.3.4.2 of the PPS states that lot adjustments in prime agricultural areas may be permitted for legal or technical reasons. As I noted, the addition of the severed parcel to the Ketfer farm at 6940 Road 140 will contribute to an efficient farm operation, as the severed parcel will offer direct connection between the two existing properties owned by the Ketfers. Section 5622 of the County of Perth official plan provides criteria and requirements for lot enlargements containing farmland and requires clauses A through E of section 5621 are met. This includes that farming is the existing and intended use, the size of each lot is appropriate, and that MDS 1 and MDS 2, minimum distance separation setbacks are met. If the consent application is approved, the retained lands will have a new lot area of 40.2 hectares or 99.3 acres. And the benefiting parcel, or the Ketfer parcel, will have a new lot area of approximately 50.9 hectares or 125.8 acres. The frontage of the retained lands and the benefiting property is unaffected by the severance and are both ample to support the lot addition. Portion of the proposed severed parcel is within the natural resource environment designation and is identified as a significant woodlot. Section 11.7.3 of the official plan states that consent for the purpose of a lot adjustment may be permitted in the natural resource environment designation, provided they are minor in nature and have no significant impact on the natural resource environment feature. As the use is not changing and no structure are proposed, the Mainland Valley Conservation Authority does not, an MVCA permit is not required at this time. However, this application was circulated to the Mainland Valley Conservation Authority. The zoning on the lands are also unaffected by the consent. The existing uses of the granting lands and the benefiting lands will remain unchanged. As such, it is staff's recommendation that North Perth Council recommend to County Council to approve the application for consent for a lot addition. The recommended conditions of consent have been included to ensure that the proposed severance is completed to the satisfaction of the municipality of North Perth and the County of Perth, and that the severed parcel is merged with the abutting property. These are identified in the staff report. Thank you, and I can take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Yilmaz. Council, questions or first comments on this matter? Fairfields, are we seeing any indication of questions or comments in the speaker's queue? Okay. So, Council, I have a resolution. I'm going to ask your indulgence. I think I finally repented of trying to read all of these conditions. The clerk is small at that. I'll ask that we acknowledge that the conditions are there, but I'm not going to read all 10 unless you insist. Councillor Johnston, don't even think about it. The resolution reads as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth receive the report entitled Application for Consent to Sever Addition number B35/21 by John and Mary Steckley, affecting lands described as Part Lot 35 and Part Lot 36, Concession 10, Part Lot 35, Concession 11, Elma Ward, Municipality of North Perth, 5079 Perth Line 72, dated December 6, 2021, for information. And that Council recommends that the County of Perth Land Division Committee or its designate approve the application for consent to sever number B35/21, described as Part Lot 35 and Part Lot 36, Concession 10, Part Lot 35, Concession 11, Elma Ward, Municipality of North Perth, 5079 Perth Line 72, subject to the following conditions. There are 10. Can I call on Councillor Duncan to be our mover for this one?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you very much. And Deputy Mayor Kellum, will you serve as our seconder?
And yes, I will second that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate? Are we seeing anything, Clerk Fairfields? Then let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Yilmaz. Always great to have you at our table. Let's turn now to item 5.3, reports from the Programs Department. We don't have reports filed this evening, but we know that they are anxiously engaged in good causes. Next then is item 5.4, reports from our Facilities Department. For our only item for this department tonight, Council is invited to approve various fee increases for services delivered by cemeteries within the municipality's control. These were approved by the North Perth Cemetery Board, forwarded to us for our attention. I'll ask North Perth Manager of Facilities Jeff Newell to comment on the report and its recommendations. Welcome, Mr. Newell.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor and members of Council. Before you is a report as outlined by the Mayor. The Cemetery Board met back in October on the 14th and discussed the new fee schedule. The fee schedule that was proposed was a 5% increase across all cemetery fees, with the exception of the care and maintenance contribution of monument installation fees, which are prescribed by the Bereavement Authority of Ontario. So those fees are set, and the recommendation is that Council accept the recommended fee increase of 5% to the Municipality of North Perth Schedule N for the 2022 year. It would come into effect on January 1st.
Thank you, Mr. Newell. Let's have questions or first comments. Clerk Fairfields. Councillor Andreessen is first.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Kasenberg. I appreciate the information here, Jeff. I just had a question around cost recovery with the cemetery programs that we have. How close are these fees to recovering our costs? Thanks.
Thank you. And just a recap, I know you asked about the process at our last council meeting. At a 5% increase, we wouldn't be at a full cost recovery if we were to do that annually until 2040. So we're a long ways away from that. I did circulate with council earlier today annual rate increases and what the projection would be for when we would be full cost recovery, and would be happy to discuss that at more length if you'd prefer. But the recommendation is for the 5% for this year because that's what the board had approved.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions for first comments on this matter, Clerk Bearfelds? We're not seeing anything. Say the magic is to count to 6. Okay. Let's have the resolution, then we'll put it on the floor and see if anything emerges. The resolution reads as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth accept the recommended fee increase of 5% to the Municipality of North Perth Schedule N. Can I call on Councillor Johnston to be our mover for that one?
Yes, I would move that.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson, will you do seconding duties here?
Yes, I will second that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate or any questions that have emerged? We're not seeing anything, so let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jeff.
You're
Let's
welcome.
now to reports from our finance department as item 5.5. As item 5.5.1, finance staff has brought forward for council review of the accounts as of this day, December 6, 2021. I'll note as usual that some councillors have declared a potential pecuniary interest in this item and will absent themselves from consideration and voting. Are there any questions about this report for our staff? Are we seeing anything here? Okay, so I have a resolution that reads as follows: that the following summary of accounts be received by council for information. The total presented is $885,164.49. Councillor Rothwell, will you be serving as remover for this one?
Also move.
Thank you. And Councillor Andreessen, will you be our seconder?
Yes, I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate? Okay, we're not seeing any, so let's have that vote. And I believe that means it's carried at this point, if I'm following the numbers. So that is carried. Thank you very much. Let's move next to item 5.5.2. Council is provided with a recommendation from staff to update bylaw number 84-2020. I'm sure all of you remember it with crystal clarity. It was the bylaw for the purposes of including actual costs associated with earlier approved works for the Danbrook A and Danbrook B municipal drains. I'm not sure who the speaker is for this. Griffiths? Okay, Ms. Hale, our treasurer and director of finance, is on the line, and I guess she's going to be tapped, or she can tap someone else. So Ms. Hale, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Kiesenberg, members of council. This evening, as mentioned, I'm just bringing forward an amending bylaw to establish the actual costs, and that we will be billing these out to the appropriate benefiting landowners and road authorities as outlined in the documentation. So this evening, we just have the amending bylaw for council consideration.
Thanks, Ms. Hale. Now, let's have a look at this. Are there any questions or first comments on this before we consider it? All right, I have the draft of a bylaw for our consideration here that reads as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth pass bylaw 115-2021, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 84-2020 for the construction of the Danbrook A and Danbrook B municipal drain, be introduced, read, and considered read a first, second, and third time, and be finally passed, and the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Councillor Anstett, can I call on you as mover?
Yes, I would move that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Behrens, are you prepared to second that?
Yes, I will second that motion. Thanks.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate? We're not seeing any indication of that, so let's have that vote.
I'm in favor. Oh, never mind. Sorry, my vote just came up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anstett. So that is carried. Thank you very much. Nice to have you with us tonight, Ms. Hale. Onward to environmental services. Item 5.6.1 invites council to approve an amendment to the fee schedule Q of the North Perth Fees and Licenses bylaw pertaining to environmental services that raises the wastewater fees to be paid by system users. I believe Mr. Hackett, our manager of environmental services, is with us to address this. Welcome, Mr. Hackett.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Kaysenberg and Council. Good evening. Yes, this report just outlines that over the past 4 years, our financial plans that we have for the water systems and the wastewater systems have had a water rate increase of 0.5% over the last 4 years. And for wastewater rates, we've been increasing them for 5% each of those years. If you have a peek at the attached North Perth 2022 water and wastewater rates, there's a blue highlighted area that shows up in the top for the water usage, that's showing the 0% increase. So it's the same as it was last year. And then midway through the page, you can see the sewage usage one, and that is showing the 2% increase for 2022. If you go down a little bit further, it has the average water usage, what the bill would be on a bi-monthly basis. For most of our customers are water and sewer customers, so that would be $2.09 bi-monthly, which equals $12.53 per year. And then that would equal about a 1.1% increase overall. I would also note that I'm currently working on updating the sewer use bylaw, and I hope to have that brought back in the next couple of months. And at that time, I would be amending Schedule Q once again, because we are looking at how to do the service connection fees, and we're hoping to have that as part of this new sewer use bylaw that I'm bringing forward at that time. Any questions? I'd be happy to take them.
Thank you, Mr. Hackett, and thanks for the heads up of what lies ahead. At this point, councillors, any questions or first comments in this matter? Are we seeing anything, Clerk Barefeld? It's pretty quiet. Okay, so let's have a consideration of this draft that's before us here. The Council of the Municipality of North Perth approve the proposed amendments to Schedule Q of the Fees and Licenses bylaw for implementation for the first billing in 2022. Councillor Duncan, can I call on you to serve as our mover for that one?
Yes, I'll move that.
Thank you. And Deputy Mayor Kellum, will you be our seconder?
Yes, I'll second that motion. Thank you.
Thanks. Any discussion or debate? Any questions? All right, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Hackett. Now let's look at landfill tipping fees. So similar item of business. There's a request to have a look at those fees. And again, Mr. Hackett's on the hot seat. Mr. Hackett.
Yes, so for the landfill fees, a couple comments here. We're looking at raising the tipping fee from $100 to $101. I would note that the Blue Water Recycling Association increases in fees this year are 2% for recycling fees and 4.4% for waste collection fees. Also keep in mind that the Blue Box program will be changing over the next couple of years. We are scheduled to transition to producer responsibility in 2024. I would also note that 2021 was the first year that we've moved to, under council's direction, to a full user fee-based cost recovery system. And I'd have to say, I think it worked out quite well this year. And we should be able to continue on with the slight increases that I'm proposing this year. I've included a table that, as I do each year, that shows this year's average waste bin fee. So you can see for the various sizes there, small, medium, large. The average across the BRA association is 123, 194, and 276. I've included what our North Perth fees are this year, 2021, and they were set at 130, 195, and 290. And including for 2022, are proposing a small increase of $2, $3, and $5, and those are on an annual basis. I did include a couple of attachments. The first one that's on the screen now is the landfill tipping fee. I think I've included this in past years, but I've included from 2013 to 2021 to show how the municipalities and different landfills that I keep track of for comparative purposes, what they're at, and then the rate and metric ton chart, the smaller chart below, just simply has it all sorted. And you can see last year our tipping fee was $100, and moving to $101 will keep us basically in the same spot we were this year, where we were able to achieve a zero cost budget. I've also included the 2021 average for bin prices for the municipalities surrounding us, and that's on a separate chart, and that shows that North Perth this year, 2021, at 130, 195, and 290, and where we would end up moving to 132, 198, and 295. And these are just for council's information. I've included the schedule as well. There's only a few changes on the actual schedule itself. As I mentioned, the 101 tipping fee under A, and then under D, wastewood is always charged at half the tipping fee, so it would move to $50.50. Down to J, we would move the mattress and box spring program to $16 per. And then on the second page, R, the environmentally suitable soil would move to 101. It's always the same as the tipping fee. And then, as mentioned, the waste bin increases to 132, 198, and 295. And I can take any questions if there's any.
Thanks, Mr. Hackett. I just need to confirm with the clerk briefly in the chamber. Just hold on. We're going to make a small change in the resolution that's proposed here. Any questions for Mr. Hackett at this point, or first comment, first matter, council? Are we seeing anything, Clerk Fairfields? No, we're not seeing anything. Okay, so the resolution that we are going to put before you reads as follows. The Council of the Municipality of North Perth approve the proposed amendments to the landfill fees effective January 1st, 2022. Can I call on Councillor Johnston to be our mover for that one?
Yes, I would so move.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson, will you be our seconder?
I will second that. Thank you.
Thanks. Any discussion or debate or questions? We're not seeing anything, so let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Hackett. Give our best to your team. Thank you. Let's turn to item 5.7, reports from Manager of Operations. No reports tonight. Sometimes we're overwhelmed by reports, and then other times it's a quiet night. So thank you for all of the services, including, we don't think it's quiet. Yeah, the clerk is pointing out it's not so quiet, given the weather circumstances that are forecast for tonight. Let's turn to item 5.8, reports from the fire department. This is a complex one. I think there's been a lot of work that's happened on this one. So for item 5.8.1, council is asked to receive a report which updates us on the migration of the fire department fire radio dispatch services to the Owen Sound Emergency Communications Center. The process is expected to have a full cutover, and it's certainly being actively managed at this time, with a change happening on January 5th, 2022. So it's looming. I know that Chief Pape is with us to update us on this significant project with lots of players in it. Chief Pape, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Kiesenberg and members of council. The report before you tonight provides an update on the fire radio dispatch project. The report provides background regarding the fire radio equipment, infrastructure, and dispatch that supports the communications function of the fire departments in Perth County, which includes the North Perth Fire Department. The report also provides information regarding the infrastructure review conducted by KPA Communications in 2018 that raised concerns about the existing fire dispatch arrangements in Perth County that led to an RFP for new fire dispatching provider and common service agreement for North Perth, West Perth, Perth East, and St. Mary's. The service agreement with Owen Sound Police Services has now been executed by all parties. System testing and acceptance, as well as dispatch training, is currently underway. The live cutover date is scheduled for January the 5th. Notification of the transition from Stratford Fire to Owen Sound Police Services has been posted on the municipal website, shared with alarm monitoring companies, as well as local media outlets. As was previously communicated to Council, the fees under the new agreement are approximately $45,000 for 2022. These fees have been included in the proposed 2022 operating budget. It is my recommendation that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth receive the report entitled Fire Radio Dispatch Project Update for information. I welcome any questions at this time.
Thank you, Chief Pape. And let me just catch up with my book here. Any questions or first comments on this matter? We're not seeing any, so I have a resolution for our consideration that reads as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth receive the report titled Fire Radio Dispatch Project Update for information. Councillor Rothwell, will you serve as our mover for that?
I'll be happy to do so. Thanks. Yes.
Thank you. And Councillor Andreessen, will you serve as our seconder for this one?
Yes, I'll second that motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any discussion or debate on this matter? Not seeing indication of that, so let's have that vote. But we need to bring the vote to totals on the screen back. Find magic window. And that is carried. Thank you. And Chief Pape, I know how much work has been done across Perth County in this project. So again, a hat tip to all those who are involved, including yourself recently, and loomingly. Is that a word? Loomingly? It's looming. No. And so we continue to ensure that our thoughts are here with this project to make sure it goes well.
We're excited about the transition.
Thanks. All right, that brings us to agenda item number 6. For 6.1, councillors, are there any reports you would like to ask of staff or of our committees? Usual process applies. I know Councillor Andreessen wants in here. This is the place, Councillor Andreessen. So let's give you the floor.
Hi, thank you. Through you, Mayor Kasenberg. As mentioned before during our meeting, I'm interested in getting staff information and staff thoughts around the broadband paperwork that we received today in our package. I'd have to scroll back to see the actual number there, but hopefully CAO Snell could reference that for us. And that could be at a future meeting, of course, just to give council more of a Coles Notes version of what could be some potential impacts or requirements or advantages and disadvantages of participating in a broadband project here in this area. Thanks.
I'm writing frantically. Apologize for my brief delay there. All right. So Councillor Andreessen, what I've trapped here is you would like council to consider a resolution that directs staff to analyze and report on results of that analysis. The broadband position paper, which is called Building Broadband Faster in Ontario, issued recently by the province of Ontario. Does that sound about right?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to consider you the mover as this one. I call on, let's see here, Councillor Anstett, would you serve as our seconder on this one?
Yes, I would second that.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion, suggestions, or input from council on this one? Make sure that we get what we want back. Sure. So we have some input in the chat function from both Councillor Johnston and Councillor Rothwell, but we're uncertain as to whether they're queuing up to ask for other reports or whether they want in on this one. So gentlemen from Britain, if you want in on this one, just take yourself off mute.
Mine is another report request.
Sure. Thanks, Councillor Johnston. Councillor Rothwell, how about you?
Thanks, Mayor Todd. Mine also is another report request, but I do have one additional piece of information which I'd appreciate staff to be able to provide through to council in this community in terms of the progress of the projects which had been approved within North Perth and the timing or expectation of when those projects will be completed and available. If we could have that as well, I appreciate that in that report. Thank you.
Sure, I think that makes good sense. Anything else on this particular report request motion? Okay, if you have something mocked up in the scribe for this, all right, let's have that vote. Well, that's carried. It's this fire dispatch radio project update, but we know what we intended. The clerk is giving me the nod. Okay, so that's good. Then next, the floor is to Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And my question or my report tonight deals with our procurement bylaw and our tendering process. And we just went through a busy fall here on the farm, and when there was breakdowns, getting parts and supplies for things has just been terrible. Many of the factories can't get steel or can't get whatever products. And I'm just wondering, in our tendering and stuff, do we need to start looking at, as we score some of these items that we're looking at, something for replacement parts? You know what I mean? So if we're looking at something that's built in China and we can't get the parts for it, unfortunately, we know everything is going to break down at some point or wear out. So I just didn't know if that needs to be factored into some of our tendering at this point, because it's just, you know, it's sometimes you're waiting weeks or months on parts. This fall, we were told, you know, it was going to be a month for an auger, so we had one built. So I'm not sure who the question goes to or the report goes to, whether we should be looking at something, a score in our tendering to whether we can get parts for whatever we are looking at. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Johnston. Certainly an interesting problem. Let me direct to Treasurer Hale. I think she's the department head for procurement. So hopefully you're still with us, Fran.
Yes, I am, and I think that's a great idea. It's good timing. We're going to be bringing back a procurement bylaw for council consideration. So definitely we'll include an aspect of that for council to consider with regard to maintenance and replacement parts in consideration of future purchases. I think that's a great idea. And we'll include it in that proposed bylaw.
Councillor Johnston, by your leave, we're hearing from Treasurer Hale that she will make that addition to the work that they're doing. So do you feel strongly that we need a staff direction motion here, or can we just trust the process?
I am just fine with trusting Treasurer Hale. I have trusted her for many, many years with my tax money, so I am fine with that.
Well, that's your high note compliment for tonight, Treasurer Hale. All right, thanks, Councillor Johnston. Next up then is Councillor Rothwell.
Thanks very much, Mayor Todd. and Council. I noted that last week Premier Ford and Minister of Municipal Affairs Clark have set up summits on affordable housing, which is to be held on December 16th. And then, according to the newspaper article, it was reported that the Premier was noting that municipalities are one of the reasons why, or one of the main reasons why there are delays in issuance of permits to be able to build new houses. And in fact, the Premier specifically stated as stating that the province is going to be scoring municipalities in terms of their ability to or timing in which it takes to issue a building permit. Now, while this may seem appropriate to some, frankly, I find it a slap in the face of municipal staff and our municipalities that surround us that do work hard to issue permits and get approvals in place. For a premier that has said at a number of conferences I've attended that they are standing shoulder to shoulder with municipalities, I'm not so sure that this sets the tone in which we're trying to address a very significant problem in every part of our province. And I would suggest that, in fact, the tone would be that we all need to work together to resolve these issues, which are far greater than just the timing it takes to issue building permits. So in that vein, I would like to request a report from our staff, as we have talked about briefly before, but a report from our staff that outlines the specific things that we are doing as the municipality of North Perth now to encourage and support the building of affordable housing within our community. And that's just not new builds. That includes converting dwellings and so on as well. But that's not only what we are currently doing, but what we can do to encourage and support our community. So that includes developers and builders. It includes private investors. It also includes current property owners that could potentially convert their house to have a new dwelling unit in it, or someone that would provide a room, a single room for someone that would like to board with them. But I would wish for council support to request staff to prepare a report for council's consideration to look at the things that North Perth is currently doing now, as well as what we can do within our community with the help and support of our residents, as well as our builders, developers, as well as private investors, to be able to make more housing available and affordable for residents within our community. So that's my request, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rothwell. Certainly near and dear to my heart. I haven't received an invitation to the Premier's Summit, and I don't know whether anyone in the organization has yet. It's very interesting. So what I trapped, let's try this out as a resolution to put on the floor here, is that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth directs staff to prepare a report outlining our recent and current actions on affordable housing and potential actions within our community to stimulate affordable housing. Does that sound passable to you, Councillor Rothwell? Does that capture the themes?
I believe it captures it well, and I can add one point, Mr. Mayor, in terms of the reason perhaps why North Perth, or you specifically, haven't received. I believe it's 29 mayors and chairs of urban regions that gets the invitation to have the ear of the Premier and the Minister on December the 16th.
So low odds then, what is it, 5%? Maybe better than lottery, but not all that much. I'm not going to rush out and buy a ticket is what you're advising if I fall on that implication. Okay. So we have a motion. Pat, did you kind of get the gist of that? Okay. Let's call that moved by Councillor Rothwell. And could I call on Deputy Mayor Callum? Would you second that?
Yes, I'll second that motion. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Any discussion or debate inputs that you'd like with regards to the fruit of this motion? Are we seeing anything, Pat? Pat, how are you doing with regards to eScribe? We're ready to go? All right, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, do we have any others for item 6.1? No, we're not seeing anything further. That allows us to move to item 7. I don't believe we've received any correspondence beyond the lengthy consent agenda, which requires council action. That brings us to item 8 on our agenda, which allows council to consider bylaws. We have 2 of them tonight to talk through here. Let's see. Item 8.1 is a bylaw as follows. The bylaw number 127-2021 being a bylaw to authorize the signing of an agreement with Mia Nice, be introduced, read, and considered read a first and second time. First, let's get this right. First, second, and third time, and be finally passed. That the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Back to my handy list here. Councillor Behrens, will you serve as our mover for that?
Yes, I will make that motion.
Thank you. And Councillor Duncan, would you serve as our seconder on this one?
Yes, I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate? Okay, we're not seeing any, so let's have that vote. And that is carried. Next up then is item 8.2. By way of explanation, this is the enablement of the fee changes that we heard in items under 5.6 of our agenda tonight. So let me read the bylaw enabling resolution here. The bylaw number 130-2021 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 160-2015 being the fees and licenses bylaw. Be introduced, read, and considered read a first, second, and third time, and be finally passed, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Can I call on Councillor Johnston to be our mover for that?
Yes, I would so move.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson, will you be our seconder?
I'd happily second that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any discussion or debate on that one? Right. The clerk is reminding that it includes cemetery, sewer, and water. Yeah, all of those, and landfill tipping. That's right. Thank you. So just so everyone is very clear, any questions or comments at this point on this bylaw? Let's have that vote. That is carried. Thank you very much. All right, that allows us to move to agenda number, item number 9. Are there any councillors wishing to leave to give notice of motion this evening? We're not seeing anything. Item 10. Often the happy part of the meeting. This is the opportunity for announcements that reflect well on the community or that are a benefit to the community. And this is an open invitation to councillors and staff for those announcements. So please, who's up? Sorry? Councillor Andreessen is first. Thank you.
Yes, thank you through you, Mayor Kasenberg. I just want to draw council's attention to correspondence we received from Clerk Burfeltz regarding an invitation from Hope Links to go to a presentation about the upcoming program that is scheduled to open to support needs in our community. And Hope Links will be offering information about their programs, especially around providing food and showering facilities and laundry facilities that are going to be prepared on Main Street at the former Anglican Church, which will become Hope Links. This program is going to be a big addition to our community, and it's expected that it would be valuable for council to have more information about what that program will provide to those in need in our community. So that presentation is at 7 o'clock on Thursday, I believe. That information is in that email, so I draw your attention to that. It's Thursday, December the 9th, that it's going to be held on location there. And I'm going to be attending. I'm on the committee, and of course, I'll be supporting that presentation. But I really want to encourage council to attend and get more information themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Andreessen. This is certainly an important initiative in our community. Are there any others who have announcements? We're not seeing any at this point. I do have an announcement. It's the most curious one, and there's potential tapping of a couple of councillors here if you're brave and bold. I am doing a small event called Singing Christmas with the Mayor on Thursday and Friday of this week between 12:30 and 2:30. I'm going to set myself up at the parking lot between Warden Up to Grove and the TD Bank. And we are inviting individuals and small groups, mindful of COVID precautions outdoors, to come and challenge me with the opportunity to sing. I'd love to see Councillor Rothwell and Councillor Andreessen show up. If they can find some time in their schedule to join me in singing, because I think that would be fun. And any others who wish to join and witness the spectacle are also invited. Obviously, this is an event to support the Salvation Army Christmas Kettle campaign. And so there will be opportunity for donation and giving there. But certainly all in the community are welcomed to come and challenge me with Christmas music, and I'll do my best. Any other inputs from council or staff at this point? Right, that brings us to agenda item number 11. And this is our opportunity to consider some matters in camera. I have an enabling resolution for that purpose that reads as follows: that this committee proceed in camera at 8:18 p.m. To address a matter pertaining to one, a proposed or pending acquisition or sale of land for municipal or local board purposes regarding property described as Concession 3, Part Lot 24, Wallace Ward, and 2, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization regarding insurance brokerage services. Councillor Rothwell, can I call on you to be our mover for this one?
Yes, I will, Mayor Todd.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Andreessen, will you serve as our seconder?
Yes, I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate on this one? We're not seeing any, so let's trigger that vote. And that is carried. What that means is that we are temporarily adjourned from open council. We will turn into an in-camera session of council. At this time, those on the call who have not been invited to participate in the in-camera session should exit our call. I also advise that we should take perhaps a 10-minute break at this point. Council at 8:30. In the interim, we'll be reconfiguring some of our technology for the purposes of going into closed session, and I'll reach back out at 8:30 to make sure everyone's on board. Okay, we need to test whether we are transmitting on YouTube at this point. I'm hoping that our trusty colleague, Councillor Richardson, who usually does this, is absent at this point. So I'm hoping that we have someone who can check on the YouTube channel for us.
I'm just on there now, Mayor Kasenberg. It shows us, we're just back now.
Yeah, there's a slight delay. Thanks, Councillor Insett. Perfect. All right, so council has completed its in-camera session, and we do have an item to rise and report about. The in-camera session considered an item of business and has recommended that bring this resolution into open session. The open session resolution that we are considering by council at this point reads as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth award the request for proposal NP 004-21P for insurance broker services to programmed insurance brokers. Can I call on Councillor Johnston to be our mover for this one?
Yes, I would move.
Thank you. Councillor Rothwell, will you be our seconder?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion or debate on this item? Seeing none, let's have that vote.
Yes, I am in favor. E-scribe kicked out again. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Kellum. And I think we have everybody now. That's carried 8-0. All right, so that moves us along then. Council, as a mandated good practice, acts near the end of its meeting agenda to confirm all of its actions and business of its meeting. What is called the confirmatory bylaw. I have a draft of the same. It reads as follows: that bylaw number 132-2021 being a bylaw to confirm generally previous actions of the Council of the Municipality of North Perth be introduced, read, and considered read a first, second, and third time and be finally passed. That the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Can I call on Councillor Andreessen to be our mover for this one?
Yes, I'll make that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Duncan, will you serve as our seconder?
Yes, I'll second that.
Thank you very much. Any discussion or debate? We're not seeing any, so let's have that vote. And I think that's carried. Yeah, exactly. 5-0 with the abstentions noted. Thank you, Council. And that means that we've come to the magic hour. We have completed the deliberation and taken action on the business that did come before us tonight. I have a motion to adjourn that reads as follows: that the council meeting adjourns at 9:10 p.m. to meet again for general council business on Monday, December 13th, 2021 at 7 p.m. I'm going to anticipate the comment from Councillor Rothwell, our chair of our budget committee, to remind council that Wednesday this week is another budget session. I believe it's our project's budgets. And so please, council, make plans to attend this Wednesday as well. And I believe there's some information that has been sent out to us for review. But our next general council meeting is December 13th. Can I call on Councillor Anstett to be our mover for the adjournment motion?
Yes, I would move that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Behrens, will you serve as our seconder?
Yes, I will second that motion.
Thank you. And of course, everyone knows now it's not debatable, so let's have that vote.
Again, I'm in favor. Just a red flash. Sorry.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Kellum. And so with that vote, that motion is carried, which means at this point, Council, that we are adjourned. And as I indicated, I know you are cordially invited for Wednesday for the budget committee meeting. Everyone have a good night and a great week. Come sing with me.